The gate opened slowly, revealing the fortress's interior to the waiting fleets. High Commander Velthak's ship entered first, moving with careful reverence. Behind him came research vessels from a dozen species, all eager to explore the ancient structure. Minho stood in the hangar bay with Sungho, watching the ships arrive. The archivist remained nearby, its holographic form flickering occasionally. "You're sure about this?" Sungho asked quietly. "No," Minho admitted, "but it feels right." Captain Lee Ha-jun was among the first to disembark. He approached Minho with a mixture of relief and respect. "Earth Command is not happy with your decision. They wanted the fortress for themselves. They wanted options. You gave everything away before negotiations could even start." Minho shrugged. "I'm a delivery driver, not a diplomat. I delivered the best solution I could think of." Dr. Han Yuri arrived next, practically running from her ship. Her eyes were wide with excitement as she took in the hangar bay. "This is incredible. Do you have any idea how much we can learn here?" "The archivist can explain better than me," Minho said, gesturing to the hologram. Yuri approached the archivist with the careful respect of a scientist meeting a primary source. "I have so many questions. I have 7,000 years of answers," the archivist replied. "Where would you like to begin?" High Commander Velthak entered the hangar with a small group of his officers. He moved slowly, looking around with an expression that might have been awe or grief. When he saw the archivist, he stopped completely. "You are Targaryen," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I am what remains of them." The archivist corrected gently. "A shadow of what they were." Velthak approached and knelt. It was a gesture of deep respect in his culture. "My people have failed in our duty as inheritors. We let the fortresses stay sealed. We forgot why they were built. You remembered enough to keep trying," the archivist said. "That is what matters. Now you can learn the rest." Ambassador Kang Sora arrived with her assistant Jang Minji. Minji looked frustrated, but Sora seemed pleased. "Minho, you've done something remarkable," Sora said. "You've turned a potential conflict into a foundation for cooperation. I just didn't want people shooting at each other. Sometimes that's the most important goal." Over the next few hours, the fortress filled with researchers, diplomats, and scientists from across the galaxy. The archivist organized them into groups, assigning sections of the fortress for study. Security protocols were established. Research councils formed. Minho watched it all happen with a growing sense of unreality. Just days ago, he had been complaining about delivery routes. Now he was at the center of galactic history. Ko Yunji approached him, carrying portable equipment. "Minho, I need to scan you more thoroughly. If your DNA is the key to the fortress, we need to understand exactly what markers you carry." "Will it hurt?" "No, it's just a genetic scan." "It'll take about 5 minutes," Minho submitted to the scan. Ko Yunji studied the results with intense focus. "Fascinating," she murmured. "You have unusually strong Targaryen markers. Most humans carry them in trace amounts, but yours are significantly more pronounced. Why? I don't know. Random genetic variation, maybe. Or your family line happened to preserve them better. Either way, that's probably why the fortress responded so strongly to you specifically." Dr. Han Yuri joined them, having heard the last part. "There are going to be a lot of humans who want to map their genetics now. Everyone will want to know how Targaryen they are." "That could cause problems," Captain Ha-jun said. "Social divisions based on genetic purity never end well. Which is why we need to emphasize that all humans carry the markers," Yuri said firmly. Minho just happened to have a stronger signal. "But any human could have triggered the fortress with enough proximity." The archivist materialized beside them. "This is correct. The fortress recognizes species patterns, not individuals." Park Minho opened the gate, but any human would have achieved the same result. Minho felt oddly relieved by this. He did not want to be special. He just wanted to deliver packages and pay his bills. "Can I go home now?" he asked. Everyone stared at him. "You want to leave?" Sora asked in disbelief. "I have deliveries scheduled. Tabin is probably furious that I'm late. Minho, you're the most important person in the galaxy right now. Earth Command wants to recall you. Probably give you a medal. Maybe make you an admiral." "I don't want to be an admiral. I want to fly my ship and make deliveries." Ha-jun smiled slightly. "I can respect that. Besides," Minho continued, "you don't need me anymore. The fortress is open. The research teams are here. I'm just a delivery driver who happened to be in the right place." The archivist spoke softly. You made choices that will echo for generations, Park Min-ho. You chose cooperation over competition. Sharing over hoarding. That is why you matter. Anyone would have done the same. That is not true, and you know it. Min-ho fell silent. Maybe the archivist was right, but he still wanted to go home. 3 weeks later, the fortress had been renamed Heritage Station. Research teams from 17 species worked in careful cooperation, cataloging Targaryen knowledge. A governing council had been established, with representatives from all scattered seed species. Humans served as administrators because of their genetic access, but all decisions were made collectively. High Commander Velthak had resigned his military position to join the Research Council. He spent his days learning about his ancestors, understanding what they had built and why they had left. The anger that had driven him for so long had transformed into something more productive. Dr. Han Yuri established a permanent research station inside the fortress. She was already planning expeditions to locate the other 16 fortresses. Ko Yunji was developing better quantum communication systems to link them all once they were found. Ambassador Kang Sora had become the Outer Reach Council's primary mediator for fortress-related issues. She was negotiating treaties, establishing research protocols, and managing the delicate politics of shared heritage. And Min-ho was back in his cargo ship, flying delivery routes through the Outer Reach. He had refused every honor Earth tried to give him. Refused promotions, medals, and ceremonial positions. He just wanted to do his job. Dabin had not been furious about his late deliveries. She had been too busy handling media requests and interview offers. She had sold most of them to pay for a new ship for Min-ho, one without broken cooling systems or malfunctioning coffee makers. Min-ho had accepted the ship gratefully and immediately filled it with cargo. Now he floated in the cockpit, reviewing his next delivery route. The coordinates made him pause. Dabin, these coordinates put me near the second fortress location. I know. Research teams are setting up in the area. They need supplies. You're sending me to another fortress? You're the only driver I trust not to cause an interstellar incident. Her voice held amusement. Besides premium pay, triple hazard bonus. Min-ho smiled despite himself. You're terrible. You're the best driver I have. Now get moving. As Min-ho plotted his course, his scanners detected something. A faint quantum signature just like the first fortress. The second fortress was out there waiting. Bai Sung-ho's voice crackled over the communicator. Min-ho, did you see the news? They think they've located fortress number 3. It's in the Outer Rim territories. I saw. Want company on this run? Min-ho thought about refusing, but he was getting used to his friend's presence. Fine, but you're paying for your own meals this time. Deal. As the Lucky Star accelerated toward the second fortress location, Min-ho thought about the archivist's final words to him before he left Heritage Station. The Targaryens left gifts for their descendants, but they also left warnings. The enemy they fled from may still exist. Finding all 17 fortresses may draw its attention. Should we stop looking for them? Min-ho had asked. No, you need the knowledge they contain. You need to be strong enough to face what might come. Just remember that every gift has a price. Min-ho had not fully understood what the archivist meant, but he knew that finding one fortress had changed the galaxy. Finding all 17 might change it even more. For now, though, he had deliveries to make. The stars stretched into lines as his ship entered faster than light speed. Behind him, Heritage Station continued its work. Ahead, somewhere in the vast darkness of space, 16 more fortresses waited, and Park Min-ho, delivery driver, would probably end up finding them all. The galaxy was full of packages that needed delivering. Some of them just happened to be ancient alien fortresses full of secrets and warnings about existential threats. It was, Min-ho decided, still better than working in an office. He settled into his chair, checked his systems, and continued on his route. After all, someone had to deliver the future. The holographic figure stood before them, its crystalline form shifting with internal light. Min-ho and Sung-ho stared at it in stunned silence. What are you? Min-ho finally asked. I am the archivist remnant, the figure said. Its translated words had a strange echo, as if spoken across vast distances of time. I am what remains of this fortress's administrative system. You may think of me as a record keeper. Why did you say we shouldn't exist yet? The archivist tilted its head in a gesture that seemed almost human. Your species was scheduled to achieve spaceflight in approximately 10,000 years. You are early. This suggests an anomaly in the development timeline. Sung-ho laughed nervously. We're ahead of schedule. That's got to be a good thing, right? Unknown. The Targaryens calculated development curves for all scattered seed species very carefully. Deviation from those curves often indicates external interference or environmental catastrophe. Minho felt a headache forming. Can we start at the beginning? What are scattered seeds? The archivist seemed to consider how to explain. The Targaryens were masters of biological engineering. They could shape life itself. Millions of years ago, they seeded primitive worlds with genetic material containing their own patterns. They encoded their DNA into species that would evolve over vast spans of time. Why would they do that? Legacy, continuation, hope for the future. The archivist's form flickered slightly. The Targaryens faced an existential threat. They chose to scatter their genetic heritage across the galaxy, rather than let it die with them. Earth was one of these seeded worlds, Minho said slowly, understanding dawning. Correct. Earth was designated Seed World 741. Your species carries diluted Targaryen genetic markers. Over millions of years of evolution, those markers became part of your basic DNA structure. Sung-ho sat down hard on the floor. So humans are part alien? All life contains genetic echoes of what came before, the archivist said. Humans simply carry specific markers that this fortress was programmed to recognize. Minho's mind raced. How many other species carry these markers? 17 species across the galaxy descended from scattered seeds. You are the first to find this fortress. Outside the fortress, Dr. Han Yuri made the same discovery through different means. Her genetic analysis comparing humans to other spacefaring species revealed hidden patterns. She found Targaryen markers in 4 other species, including distant traces in the Veltharian people, Velthak's own species. She presented her findings to the Outer Reach Council via emergency broadcast. The fortress doesn't belong exclusively to anyone, she explained, her voice steady despite the chaos her words would cause. It belongs to all the scattered seeds. The Targaryens encoded multiple species' genetic patterns into these structures. Ambassador Kang Sora watched the council's reaction. Some representatives were stunned. Others were angry. A few looked thoughtful. High Commander Velthak's face appeared on the screen, his expression unreadable. My people carry these markers? Yes, though more diluted than in humans. Earth's isolation allowed the markers to remain stronger. Then my claim is valid. So is humanity's. And 3 other species present in this chamber. Yuri pulled up her genetic charts. The fortress recognizes all scattered seeds. Humans simply triggered it first because Park Minho happened to fly the right route at the right time. Velthak fell silent. The anger in his expression slowly transformed into something else. Acceptance, perhaps, or resignation. Inside the fortress, the archivist was explaining the same truth to Minho. So this isn't special to humans, Minho said. Any of the scattered seed species could have opened this fortress. Correct. You were simply first. The archivist gestured, and holographic star maps appeared around them. There are 16 other fortresses across the galaxy. Each contains knowledge, technology, and resources left by the Targaryens. Each is programmed to respond to scattered seed DNA. What kind of knowledge? Everything the Targaryens learned in millions of years of existence. Medicine, engineering, physics, biology. Weapons too, though those files are sealed behind additional security. Sung-ho perked up. Weapons? The Targaryens were peaceful by nature, but they faced a threat that required military response. They built defenses and weapons far beyond what any current species possesses. The archivist's form darkened slightly. They built them because they needed them. Because something was coming. What threat? Minho asked. The data is corrupted. I have fragments of information, but no complete picture. Only warnings. The Targaryens sealed these fortresses and departed to confront something they called the enemy. They never returned. Holographic chamber fell silent. They expected us to find these fortresses eventually, Minho said quietly. They left all this behind for their descendants. Yes, they hoped the scattered seeds would mature, find the fortresses, and learn from what was preserved here. They hoped you would work together, pool your inherited knowledge, and become strong enough to face whatever they could not defeat. And if we don't work together? The archivist's answer was simple. Then the same thing that destroyed the Targaryens will eventually destroy you. Outside Earth Command contacted Ambassador Kang Sora with urgent orders. She read them twice, not quite believing what they said. They want me to claim the fortress for humanity. Captain Lee Ha-jun stood nearby, his expression troubled. Will you? That's not why we're out here, Sora said. Humanity came to space to explore, to learn, to meet other species. Not to grab ancient weapons and start wars. A new voice joined the conversation. Ko Yoonji, a quantum communications specialist, had just arrived from Earth aboard a specialized vessel. She was young, brilliant, and spoke quickly. Ambassador, I can establish communication with the fortress. My equipment should be able to create a quantum resonance with the human DNA patterns inside. If Minho can hear us, we can coordinate. Do it. Ko Yoonji set up her equipment and began transmitting carefully modulated quantum pulses toward the fortress. Inside, Minho's communicator suddenly crackled to life. Hello? Can anyone hear me? Minho grabbed his communicator. Yes, this is Minho. We're okay. The relief in Ko Yoonji's voice was clear. Thank goodness. We've established a stable link. Can you tell us what you found? Minho looked at the archivist, then at Sungho, then at the star maps showing 17 fortresses across the galaxy. I found out that humanity has a bigger family than we thought, he said, and we've got a lot to talk about. He spent the next hour explaining everything the archivist had told them. Outside, the Outer Reach Council listened in stunned silence. The implications were staggering. The fortress can be open to others, Minho finished, but the archivist says I have administrative control as the first recognized heir. I can choose who gets access to what. High Commander Velthek's voice came through, calmer now. And what will you choose, human? Minho thought about it. He thought about the standoff outside, the weapons pointed at each other, the species arguing over ancient rights. He thought about the archivist's warning that the Tagarians hoped their descendants would work together. I choose cooperation, he said finally. This fortress becomes neutral ground, a research facility run by a council of all scattered seed species. Everything we learn gets shared equally. Humans would give up exclusive access? Velthek sounded doubtful. We would, because keeping secrets will just start wars. And wars are exactly what the Tagarians didn't want. Ambassador Sora smiled. This was why she believed in humanity's future among the stars. Not because they were strong or advanced, but because sometimes they made the right choice. I support this proposal, she announced to the council. Other voices joined hers. Not all, but enough. High Commander Velthek remained silent for a long moment. Then, the Tagarian remnant will agree to this arrangement. On one condition. What condition? That I be allowed to see my ancestors' fortress, to walk its halls, to pay my respects to those who built it. His voice carried deep emotion. My people have dreamed of this for 7,000 years. Minho looked at the archivist. The hologram nodded. Access granted, Minho said. Come on in. Everyone who wants to learn is welcome. The fortress's gate began to open again. Captain Lee Ha-jun made his decision in seconds. The Steadfast moved between Minho's cargo ship and Velthek's approaching fleet. It was a small patrol vessel against a dozen warships, but Ha-jun had his orders. Protect human civilians. This is Captain Ha-jun of Earth Defense. The vessel you're targeting is under my protection. Velthek's response was immediate. Move aside, human. This does not concern you. A human civilian is being threatened. That very much concerns me. The standoff lasted 3 tense minutes. Ships from other species moved into position, unsure whose side to take. Nobody wanted to start a war, but nobody wanted to miss the chance to learn the fortress's secrets either. Dr. Han Yuri broke the standoff by broadcasting on an open channel. High Commander, threatening this pilot will accomplish nothing. Let me board his vessel and conduct proper scans. If there's a connection to the fortress opening, we'll find it scientifically. Velthek considered this. You have 1 hour. If you discover how he opened the fortress, that information belongs to the Tagarian people. The information will be shared with the Outer Reach Council, Yuri replied firmly. Velthek's fleet held position. Yuri's science vessel docked with the Lucky Star. Inside his cockpit, Minho watched as Yuri and Captain Ha-jun came aboard. Songo had finally emerged from the cargo bay and stood beside him. I'm Park Minho, he said. Someone want to tell me what's happening? Yuri activated her scanning equipment. You opened the fortress 4 days ago when you flew through the debris field. That's impossible. I'm a delivery driver. I deliver packages. I don't open ancient alien fortresses. Nevertheless, the data is clear. Yuri showed him her readings on a portable screen. These are the fortress's energy patterns at the moment it opened. And these are the quantum signatures from your ship. They match perfectly. Minho stared at the screen. The numbers meant nothing to him. My ship had a power failure when I flew through that debris field. Everything shut down for 3 seconds. But that's just a malfunction. That wasn't a malfunction, Yuri said quietly. That was the fortress scanning you. Hajun stepped forward. We need to contact Earth Command immediately. This situation is about to get worse. Sungho interrupted, pointing at the view screen. Velthak's face appeared again. Your hour is up. I want answers. We need more time, Yuri said. No more time. The human will approach the fortress and attempt entry. If he opened it once, he can do it again. Minho shook his head. I'm not going near that thing. Then I will destroy your ship and every human vessel in this sector. Hajun moved his hand toward his weapon. You're threatening an act of war. I'm reclaiming what belongs to my people. Ambassador Kang Sora's voice cut through the channel. She had been silent until now, listening from her diplomatic vessel. High Commander, consider carefully. Attacking human civilians will unite every species in the outer reach against you. They're already against me, Velthak said bitterly. For generations, my people have been denied access to our own fortress. Now a human stumbles upon the secret. And you expect me to be patient? Minho listened to them argue and felt incredibly tired. None of this made sense. He was just a delivery pilot trying to make enough money to fix his ship. Now he was in the middle of an interstellar incident. I'll do it, he said quietly. Everyone stopped talking. I'll approach the fortress. If my ship is somehow special, we might as well find out. Minho, you don't have to do this, Hajun said. Yes, I do. Otherwise, people are going to die. And I'm tired of everyone shouting. Yuri looked at him with new respect. I'll monitor everything from my ship. If the defenses activate, we can pull you out with tractor beams. Probably, Sungho added helpfully. Minho glared at his friend. You're staying here. No chance. You're not doing this alone. They argued for a minute before Minho gave up. Sungho could be stubborn when he wanted to be. The Lucky Star detached from Yuri's vessel and began moving slowly toward the open gate. Hundreds of ships watched. News broadcast from across the galaxy focused on the small cargo hauler approaching the most dangerous structure in known space. Yuri monitored every sensor reading from the Steadfast. The fortress is responding. Energy patterns are shifting. Is that bad? Hajun asked. I don't know. As Minho's ship drew closer, something happened that no one expected. A signal broadcasted from the fortress on an ancient frequency. Yuri's translation program struggled with the old Tagarian dialect, but eventually produced words. Genetic pattern recognized. Descendant protocol activated. Welcome home, children of the scattered seed. The Outer Reach Council's emergency session erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other. The implications were staggering. The fortress wasn't just recognizing Minho's ship. It was recognizing something biological, something in his DNA. Ambassador Kang Sora felt a chill. Humans and ancient Tagarians connected across thousands of years. It didn't seem possible, but the evidence was broadcasting for everyone to hear. Minho's ship crossed the threshold of the gate. Every species expected the defenses to fire. They had destroyed countless vessels at this exact point. Nothing happened. The Lucky Star's systems remained fully functional. The fortress accepted it like welcoming an old friend. I'm inside, Minho reported, his voice echoing strangely over the communicator. Hajun tried to follow, but Yuri stopped him. Wait, let me scan the gate. She ran quick analysis. The recognition is specific to Minho's ship. If we try to follow, the defenses will activate. So he's trapped in there? Unless the fortress lets him out, yes. Inside the fortress, Minho and Sungho stared at a massive hangar bay. It was huge, designed to hold thousands of ships. Theirs was the only vessel inside. Emergency lighting cast everything in dim blue illumination. This is incredible, Sungho whispered. This is terrifying. Minho corrected. The gate behind them began to close. Minho. Yuri's voice crackled over the communicator. The gate is closing. Can you stop it? Minho looked around his cockpit desperately. How would I do that? I don't know. Try something. But the gate sealed shut before Minho could figure out what to try. The hangar bay fell silent except for the Lucky Star's humming engines. Outside the fortress, chaos erupted again. Velthak demanded the gate be reopened. Ambassador Sora contacted Earth for emergency instructions. Captain Hajun organized his crew for a potential rescue operation. Dr. Han Yuri studied the fortress's new energy patterns. She made a discovery that changed everything. "Captain," she said slowly, "the quantum signature I detected. It's not from the ship." "What do you mean?" "I mean it's not the lucky star that the fortress recognizes. It's Minho himself, specifically his DNA. The fortress is programmed to recognize human genetic patterns." Hajun shook his head. "Humans didn't exist when this fortress was built." "I know. Which means someone programmed human DNA into this fortress's recognition systems thousands of years before humans achieved spaceflight. The implications hung in the air between them. Get me every genetic database we have access to," Yuri said urgently. "I need to compare human DNA with other species. If the Tagarians encoded humans into their systems, maybe they encoded others too." Inside the fortress, Minho and Sungho had left the cockpit to explore. The hangar was empty except for their ship, but corridors led deeper into the structure. "Should we go look?" Sungho asked. Minho thought about it. They were trapped inside anyway. Sitting in the ship wouldn't help. "Stay close," he said, "and don't touch anything." They moved down a corridor designed for beings much larger than humans. The ceiling stretched high above them. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly with their own light. "What do you think happened to them?" Sungho asked quietly. "The Tagarians, I mean. Why did they leave?" "I don't know. Maybe we'll find out." Deep in the fortress's core, ancient systems continued their reboot sequence. Cameras tracked the two humans as they explored. An AI that had been dormant for 7,000 years analyzed their movements, their speech, their genetic signatures. The analysis completed. The humans were early. According to the original timeline, the scattered seeds should not achieve spaceflight for another 10,000 years. Something had accelerated their development. The AI designated this as a Category 1 anomaly requiring immediate attention. Lights began activating throughout the fortress, illuminating corridors that had been dark for millennia. In a chamber at the structure's heart, a holographic projector warmed up for the first time since the Tagarian exodus. Minho and Sungho froze as the corridor ahead blazed with light. "Maybe we should go back to the ship," Sungho suggested nervously. Before Minho could agree, a figure appeared before them. Tall, crystalline, with features that seemed both familiar and completely alien. It spoke in a language neither of them understood, but devices in the walls translated the words into Korean. "You should not exist yet. The timeline is wrong." The news spread across the galaxy in hours. The Tagarian fortress had opened. Every news channel showed the same image. The massive main gate, sealed for 7,000 years, now standing open. Ships from every major species rushed toward it. Minho docked at Station Kepler 442 12 hours later, exhausted and ready for sleep. He had listened to the emergency broadcasts during his flight back. Everyone was talking about the fortress. Theories filled every channel. Some said it was a malfunction. Others claimed divine intervention. A few insisted it was a trap. Minho did not care. He just wanted his ship fixed and a real bed. At the station's maintenance bay, a mechanic examined the Lucky Star systems. Minho explained the power failure in the debris field. The mechanic ran diagnostic after diagnostic. "I'm not finding anything wrong," the mechanic said finally. "Your systems all check out perfectly." But everything shut down. For 3 seconds, my ship was completely dead. "According to your computer logs, nothing happened. All systems remained operational." Minho wanted to argue, but he was too tired. He paid for a basic service check and headed toward the station's residential section. His dispatcher, Choi Dabin, intercepted him in the corridor. She was a short woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper tongue. "Minho, good, you're back. I need you to take another run to the outer reach." "No." "Premium pay. Triple hazard bonus, absolutely not. I just spent 18 hours flying. I'm going to sleep." Dabin showed him her tablet. The numbers made Minho's eyes widen. "That's real?" "There's a bidding war for delivery services near the fortress. Every faction wants supplies brought to their fleets. You're the only driver I have who knows the route. There must be 100 drivers who know that route." "There were. They're all already out there. You're my last available pilot." Minho thought about his ship's overdue payment. He thought about the broken cooling system and coffee maker. He thought about how much he wanted to sleep. "Triple hazard pay," he said, "and a new coffee maker. Done. You launch in 4 hours. Minho groaned and headed to grab whatever rest he could. Across the station, in a research lab, Dr. Han Yuri studied data streams from the fortress with growing confusion. She was a xenoarchaeologist specializing in Tigarian technology. For 6 years, she had observed the fortress from a safe distance, learning everything she could about its systems. Nothing in her research explained how it had opened. She had spent the last 12 hours reviewing 7,000 years of documented attempts to breach the fortress. Every weapon type had been tried, every frequency of signal, every ancient access code the Tigarians had left behind. Nothing had ever worked, and yet the gate stood open. What had changed? Yuri pulled up the fortress's energy readings from the moment of opening. There had been a surge, but not from outside. The command had come from inside the fortress itself. Something had triggered its internal systems to open the gate. But what? Her assistant entered the lab with fresh data. "Doctor, we've been monitoring the ships approaching the fortress. High Commander Velthak sent a drone through the open gate." "What happened?" "The drone crossed the threshold and immediately lost all power. It's just drifting there now, dead." Yuri frowned. The gate was open, but the fortress was still defending itself. The defenses had not shut down. They had simply changed behavior. "Get me a meeting with the Outer Reach Council," she said. "I need to examine that drone." In his small quarters, Minho's friend Bei Sungho was waiting when he arrived. Sungho was another delivery pilot, though he spent more time drinking than flying. "You're going back out there," Sungho said. It was not a question. "How did you know?" "Because Dabin just offered me the same run. I told her I had engine trouble." Sungho grinned. "Take me with you." "No. Come on, Minho, this is history happening. The fortress hasn't opened in 7,000 years. I want to see it. You want to salvage whatever you can find and sell it, that too. But mostly I want to see it. Everyone in the galaxy is going there. Why shouldn't we?" Minho wanted to refuse, but Sungho had helped him many times over the years. He owed him. "Fine, but stay out of my way. This is a supply run, not a treasure hunt." Sungho's grin widened. "I promise I'll be good." 4 hours later, the Lucky Star launched from Station Kepler 442, with official cargo and one unofficial passenger. Sungho had smuggled himself aboard in the cargo bay, even though Minho had given him permission to come. "Why are you hiding?" Minho asked when he found him. "Because this is more fun." The flight to the fortress took 14 hours. Minho spent most of it reviewing news broadcasts. The Outer Reach Council had declared the fortress neutral territory until its status could be determined. High Commander Velthak had protested, claiming Tigarian rights. Ambassador Kang Sora had called for patience and careful study. Nobody was listening to either of them. Ships continued to arrive from every corner of the galaxy. When Minho's ship finally reached the fortress area, he could barely believe what he saw. Hundreds of vessels filled the space around the ancient structure. Warships, research vessels, cargo haulers, even tourist ships. Everyone wanted to be there when history was made. The fortress itself dominated the view. It was a massive structure, dark and angular, covered in alien symbols that seemed to shift when Minho looked at them. The main gate stood open, revealing only darkness inside. "It's beautiful," Sungho whispered from behind him. "It's dangerous," Minho corrected. A voice crackled over the communicator. "Unidentified human vessel, this is Captain Lee Hajin of the patrol ship Steadfast." "State your business." Minho transmitted his cargo manifest. "This is the Lucky Star. I have supply deliveries for the research fleet." "Acknowledged. Proceed to coordinates I'm sending now. Be advised, this is a high-tension area. Multiple factions are present." "Understood." As Minho navigated toward the research fleet, a sleek science vessel moved alongside him. A woman's face appeared on his screen. It was Dr. Han Yuri. "Human cargo ship, please maintain your current course. I need to scan your vessel." "Why?" "Just routine. It will only take a moment." Minho shrugged and held steady. He felt a slight tingle as Yuri's scanning beams passed over his ship. On her vessel, Yuri watched the data stream with intense focus. Then her eyes widened. The quantum signature. The exact same signature she had detected at the moment the fortress opened. It was coming from this ship. "Where were you 4 days ago?" she asked urgently. "Making a delivery to Research Station Theta 9. Why? What route did you take?" "Through the debris field near the fortress." "It was a shortcut." Yuri's hands moved rapidly across her controls, cross-referencing timestamps and locations. The data aligned perfectly. This ship had passed within 50 kilometers of the fortress at the exact moment it opened. "Captain, I need you to hold position. Don't move. What's going on?" Yuri did not answer. She was already contacting Captain Hajun on a secure channel. "I found it," she said. "I found what opened the fortress." On the Steadfast, Hajun listened to her explanation with growing disbelief. "You're saying this random delivery ship triggered the opening?" The quantum signatures matched perfectly. Something about this ship or someone on it caused the fortress to respond. That's impossible. Humans have only been in space for 500 years. The fortress is 7,000 years old. I know, but the data doesn't lie. Hajun made a decision. "I'm bringing the pilot aboard for questioning." Before he could send the order, alarms started blaring across every ship in the area. High Commander Velthak's fleet had changed course. They were heading straight for the Lucky Star. Velthak's face appeared on every ship's communicator. His voice was cold with determination. "The human ship will be seized for examination. Anyone who interferes will be considered an enemy of the Tagarian people." In his cramped cockpit, surrounded by warships and with absolutely no idea what was happening, Minho turned to Sungho. "You just had to come along, didn't you?" Sungho stared at the approaching fleet with wide eyes. "I think we're in trouble." Park Minho stared at the flashing red light on his console and groaned. Another malfunction. His cargo ship, the Lucky Star, was anything but lucky. The cooling system was broken again, and the coffee maker had stopped working 3 days ago. Now the navigation system was throwing errors. He floated in the cramped cockpit, surrounded by empty food containers and crumpled paper. Outside the window, stars stretched into long lines as his ship moved through space at faster than light speeds. Minho had been flying delivery routes for 5 years now, and the wonder of space travel had worn off completely. His communicator beeped. A woman's voice filled the cockpit. "Minho, this is Dabin. Do you copy?" "I copy," Minho said, rubbing his tired eyes. "What now?" "You have a priority delivery. Medical supplies to Research Station Theta 9. The coordinates are uploading to your system now." Minho watched as numbers appeared on his screen. His eyes widened. "Dabin, these coordinates are wrong. This puts the station inside the Tagarian Fortress exclusion zone. The coordinates are correct. I checked them 3 times. Nobody goes near that fortress. It's been sealed for 7,000 years. The defense systems destroy anything that gets close. Research Station Theta 9 is in the same sector, not inside the fortress, just near it. You'll be fine," Minho sighed. "This is going to add 6 hours to my route. Then you better get moving. The medical supplies are time-sensitive." The communicator clicked off. Minho looked at the coordinates again and started calculating routes. 6 extra hours meant he would be late for his next 3 deliveries. Dabin would never let him hear the end of it. He pulled up a star map and studied it carefully. The Tagarian fortress sat in the center of an empty zone. No ships, no stations, nothing. Every species in the galaxy knew to stay away from it. The ancient aliens who built it had created defenses that still worked perfectly after thousands of years. Many had tried to break inside. Warriors, scientists, treasure hunters, all of them had failed. Most of them had died. Minho had no interest in the fortress. He just wanted to deliver his cargo and go home. As he studied the map, he noticed something interesting. There was a debris field near the fortress, old wrecks from failed attempts to breach it. The debris field was technically outside the exclusion zone. If he flew through it carefully, he could cut 4 hours off his route. Minho made his decision. He adjusted his course toward the debris field. Several sectors away, in a massive council chamber, Ambassador Kang Sora watched a disaster unfold on the main view screen. High Commander Velthak's fleet was attempting another assault on the Tagarian fortress. Dozens of warships surrounded the ancient structure, firing ancient access codes at its sealed gates. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the fortress came alive. Automated defense systems activated. Beams of pure energy shot out from hidden weapons. 3 warships exploded instantly. 4 more were cut in half. The remaining ships scattered, but the fortress tracked them with perfect accuracy. In less than a minute, half of Velthak's fleet was destroyed. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives from dozens of species shouted at each other. Some demanded action. Others insisted this proved the fortress should be left alone forever. Sora remained quiet. She had been Earth's ambassador to the Outer Reach Council for 2 years. In that time, she had learned that the best strategy for humanity was simple. Stay quiet, stay neutral, stay out of ancient alien conflicts. Humans were newcomers to the galaxy. They had only achieved faster-than-light travel 500 years ago. Most of the other species had been exploring space for thousands of years. Some, like the Targaryens, had built empires when Earth was still in its ice age. High Commander Velthak appeared on the view screen. His face was twisted with rage and humiliation. The Targaryens had been trying to reclaim their ancient fortress for generations. Every attempt ended the same way. "This fortress belongs to my people," Velthak said, his voice shaking. "Our ancestors built it. Our ancestors sealed it. We have the right to open it." An elderly council member responded calmly. "Your ancestors also created defenses that kill anyone who approaches. Perhaps they had a reason for sealing it." Velthak cut the transmission. His remaining ships retreated from the fortress. Sora made a mental note to report this to Earth. Tensions around the fortress were getting worse. Sooner or later, someone would do something desperate. Minho's ship entered the debris field carefully. Broken pieces of ancient warships drifted through space like a graveyard. Some of the wrecks were centuries old. Others were still smoking from recent destruction. His scanners picked up thousands of objects. Metal fragments, dead ships, frozen bodies. Minho felt a chill despite the broken cooling system. He navigated slowly, letting his ship's computer calculate safe paths through the debris. The fortress loomed in the distance, a massive dark shape against the stars. It was huge, bigger than any space station Minho had ever seen. Its surface was covered in strange symbols and geometric patterns that hurt his eyes when he looked at them too long. The fortress had been here for 7,000 years, silent and deadly. Nobody knew what was inside. Nobody knew why the Targaryens had abandoned it. All anyone knew was that it could not be opened. Minho checked his instruments. He was making good time. The debris field was actually saving him more time than he had calculated. In another hour he would be clear and could continue to research Station Theta 9. Then his ship's lights went out. Everything went dark. The engines stopped. The life support stopped. Even the emergency lights died. Minho floated in complete darkness and silence. He counted in his head. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. At 3.2 seconds, everything came back online. Lights flickered on. The engines hummed. His console lit up with status reports showing all systems normal. Minho exhaled slowly. What was that? His ship's computer had no explanation. According to its logs, nothing unusual had happened. But Minho knew better. Everything had stopped for 3 seconds. He made a note to get his ship checked when he returned to the station. The Lucky Star was old, but it had never done anything like that before. Minho continued through the debris field and put the incident out of his mind. He had supplies to deliver. Behind him, deep inside the Targaryen fortress, something stirred for the first time in 7,000 years. Ancient computers flickered to life. Dormant systems began running diagnostic checks. And in the fortress's central core, a massive door that had been sealed since the dawn of recorded history unsealed with a silent hiss. Sensors detected the change immediately. Every ship monitoring the fortress sent urgent messages to their home worlds. The Outer Reach Council's emergency alarm started blaring. The Targaryen fortress, impenetrable for 7 millennia, had opened its main gate. Minho reached Research Station Theta 9 6 hours later. It was a tiny outpost with only 3 researchers studying cosmic radiation. They gratefully accepted the medical supplies and signed for the delivery. "Quiet out here," Minho said as one researcher checked the cargo. "Very quiet," the researcher agreed. "Nothing ever happens in this sector." Minho's communicator suddenly exploded with noise. Emergency broadcasts on every channel. His screen filled with news alerts. "The fortress opened," the researcher said, staring at his own communicator in shock. The Targaryen fortress actually opened. Minho looked out the window toward where the fortress lay in space, several light hours away. After 7,000 years of silence, the most mysterious structure in the galaxy had decided to open. He wondered what it meant. He had no idea that he was the one who had opened it.